Ride or die.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very random video because I am currently sat in an SQ2. Now this shares a lot of the same engine, gearbox, other bits and bobs from an S3. So this has the 2-litre turbocharged engine up front producing 300 horsepower, which is a talking point on its own. It has the DSG dual clutch 7-speed automatic, and it shares a lot of the same characteristics, of course, of the S3. It's slightly smaller though, 100mm smaller than the S3 and 50 kilos heavier. But the interesting thing is, this thing, as I was talking to the owner, is actually, as we come on boost, it's actually pretty quick. Oh, 300 horsepower in a mini SUV. Obviously this is a huge thing at the moment. Mini SUVs are what everybody wants. I can completely understand this car, but talking to the owner, this is actually, near as makes no difference, half the price to insure than an S3. So if you need a daily driver and you want something a little bit higher up, make you feel a little bit safer, this car completely makes sense. The 4-wheel drive system is still here as well, so you can launch this thing if you really wanted to. It basically is an S3 on stilts. Well impressed with the power. You don't expect this to be feeling like an S3. Yes, these don't have the adjustable dampening and they don't have an option for a manual box, but I think in something like this you don't really need a manual box. I don't think a lot of people would really be opting for a manual box in one of these. But yeah, it completely makes sense to me, this car. But what we're going to do is, I'm going to drop a gear. It's a quick little car, this. What we're going to do is, we're going to jump back to the Colossal Giveaways HQ and remap this thing. Because, of course, this is an S3 engine. So the platform of the S3 has been developed and developed and developed. It means that you can remap this thing and get loads more power out of it. So we're going to jump back, we're going to drive this thing back, and then we're going to remap it. We're going to come back and see what it's like remapped. Because of course, an S3 engine, S3 box, it can all be mapped with the S3 software, which again has been developed and developed and developed. So this then can, in theory, have the same power gains as an Audi S3. Interesting. Let's jump back again to the Colossal Giveaways HQ, get this thing remapped. So jumping back in the SQ2, we have remapped it. Definitely a difference there. Again, increase in power from the stage 1 mapping that's been put on it by the guys at MotorTech. Around 45 brake horsepower increase from the initial 300. And I must admit, it actually sounds completely different. The exhaust sound itself sounds, well, it's hugely different. That is really, really impressive. The mid-range torque is really where it is. I think the mid-range torque is really where you can feel the difference in this car with the stage 1 map that's on it. Let's have a little squirt, second gear. Yeah, you can definitely feel there's a difference. It really does bring cars alive, especially just putting a stage 1 map on new cars. I still think, and I'm going to say this to the day I die, that some cars do come out of the factory slightly dumbed down. So sometimes a car does leave the factory, and I think you need a stage 1 map at least on it to really get the most out of something that you own. This is a prime example. This is obviously a bit more lifted than an S3. It is 50 kilos heavier. So bringing that mapping in, putting a stage 1 map on this car has actually changed it. Second gear. Oh, massively. And in all fairness, this is probably how it should be when it came out the factory. Yeah, huge improvements just from a stage 1 map. Yeah, huge difference. Again, I'm going to reiterate myself. So we've come from a 300 horsepower completely standard SQ2 today. We put a stage 1 MotorTech map on it. So shout out to the guys at MotorTech for coming down and putting this on the car. Night and day difference. Again, you are going to really see a difference with these newer cars. They dumb them down from the factory, I think. So putting a stage 1 map on it. Even in third gear, then you put your foot down, and the amount of torque that's now in the mid-range especially. Sounds so much more throaty as well. And we're going to go back to the idea that this car is cheaper to insure. It is better off, obviously, if you have children. It's got, you know, a bit more headroom. It's a little bit higher off the ground. It is the S3 on stilts that you want to buy. In that sense, it has the engine, it has the gearbox, it has the comfort, it has everything that an S3 has, but it's slightly bigger. So yeah, really, really impressive power gains. And I think if you wanted to go really crazy with this, you could obviously do anything to an S3 that you can to this. So the power gains are endless if you do want to put stuff on one of these SQ2s. If you do want one of these, go and drive one. Go and see what it's like. If you are thinking of buying an S3, go and drive this and see what you think if you have kids and all that sort of good stuff. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, massive thank you to the guys at Colossal Giveaways for letting me take this car out today, and I'll see you all on the next one.